Baker Mayfield, as JR said, cocky, right?
Cocky, outspoken.
Yeah.
Disrespectful.
Duh. Disrespectful, totally.
He needs to humble himself.
Yeah, right. So here's what he did pregame. He was running routes on the Georgia side of the field. And apparently this is like a no-no. This is football no-no. Or like no one can run on our side of the field because that's our side of the field for 20 minutes. So here's what happened.
He's 100% and be ready to go there. Listen, this is a guy that if anything else, he may help you. He'd be not going to need the ball.
Baker's like, yeah, dude, I got headphones in. Like, I'm listening to Kendrick Lamar. What do you want from me?
I mean, obviously, this is what he was trying to do. He knows the tensions all around him. He knows people get upset. He knows the rules. And his teammates probably would have had the same issue if someone, it's not like this is a random thing that no one's ever heard of before. It's exactly why he did it. And I know this type of competitor. I've competed against this type of competitor. You don't, even if it gets to you, because things got to me as an athlete, but you don't let them know it got to you. And by the way, so since the game ended the way it did and came out the way it did, now you have the floor to talk all the trash you want and talk about how, did that really work for you, Baker?
We're gonna get to that in a second. Going into halftime, here's what he did to the Georgia players as he was going into the tunnel. Take a look at this. Throat slash in GIF form, and he's saying, it's over. It's over.
What was the score? What was the halftime score?
They were up 17, were they?
The 14, must have been 17 now.
Yeah. So Oklahoma was up big. He did throat slash. It was over. And then as JR alluded to, Georgia got the last laugh. So here's what they did to Baker Mayfield. It's fine. It's fair.
Yourself.
Right? Everything's fair game at this point. Like Baker Mayfield was the ultimate shit talker. He won the Heisman. He backed it up at every turn. Guess what? Because you did that, you are allowed to get shit talked to you. And that's fine. I have no problem with him running routes on the opposing team's area on the south end zone or whatever the hell it is. And I have no problem with this kid from Georgia saying humble yourself to Baker Mayfield. He could have said a lot worse at that point as well.
I read an article that said, I forget his name now, but this the Georgia player who was telling him to humble himself, and they said, looks like he was, I think it was a USA Today article, potentially. They're saying him trying to teach Baker Mayfield a lesson and humbling himself, he misses the irony that he's not humble at all because he's telling him to humble himself. So what's he supposed to say? Hey, thank you, Taylor, for talking trash the whole game to me and thinking you had us beat from the very beginning. And at the end, I'd tell you to calm down with being so cocky. Hey, that's fine. What's wrong with that? Why can't he say what he's supposed to say? Oh, thank you. I apologize for beating you.
Right. Like what?
It's
like
competition,
hey, Mr.
man.
Mayfield, I thank you so much for allowing me the pleasure of competing against you. I really appreciate it.
So lucky to win this one.
Best of luck.
So lucky.
Please.
On that one. Y'all split that. It was the way he said it. If he came up after and dapped him up and was like, yo, dude, humble yourself. It's gonna bite you in the ass in the future. Like that's sincere. That's sincere advice, but shouting from across the field, past reporters, humble yourself, humble yourself. That's shit talking. Cut it out.
Good.
Like, oh yeah, we agree that it's shit talk. By the way, don't you have a camera?
Oh yeah.
Who are you? Oh, that's the man right there. The man with the master plan.
Point being, he can, like, the criticism of how he did, I think is senseless. Let him do what he wants. Like
totally,
it's fine.
Totally.
We give these kids too much, and I call them kids, but
they are kids.
Give them too much of.
They are kids under the NCAA bylaw. Always keep that in place. Yeah.
And by the way, I don't dislike Mayfield for doing the stuff he does. I mean, sorry, I get the throat slash. Oh my God, I mean, he's gonna kill you and cut your head off. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares?
What if he really went into half and he was like, and now we plan the red wedding.
Yeah,
and we make them bleed with Oklahoma blood. Like, then we're talking, all right? With the fact that he's just going, it's over. It's like, all right, come on. First off, I remember when I did that in Little League.
Little Baker over here.
I did it in Little League. I almost got thrown out of the game.
You did it's over or you did the throat slash? Did you do it slowly like The Undertaker?
No, I did it quick. I wanted it to be quick. And my dad was like, he wasn't happy with something. And I was just like, I think I was pitching. And the umpire was like, hey, whoa. He like stops the game and shit because it's all about him.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, whoa. Don't do that again, son. I'm like, shit, okay. Like, you're the one with the catcher's
It's so weird.
mask.
I would love to know the history behind the throat slash in sports that makes that the worst ever. You know, just like the worst curse or whatever. You know, what's the one? You know it. Because you can't even say it, can you? You cuss your ass off, but you can't say it.
I bet it was civilians coming up missing during the Brazilian World Cup in like 80 something. Like civilians were coming up missing because they were talking shit during the games. Like it's probably a little bit of that. Like you can't.
And someone let the gesture slip.
You know what I mean? It probably has something. It's probably something to do with Ron Artest. You know what I'm saying? Like,
whoa, easy. We're getting him in here soon.
No, totally. You know what? Totally.
Did he forget he did Malice in the Palace? That's on public record. I don't think that's really something we can.
Let me ask you a question. Are you gonna ask him that question?
Hell yeah! You want me to ask Ron Artest on Malice in the Palace? You think I won't?
I don't think you will.
I actually would too. I would love to ask.
What would you ask him?
Absolutely. That'd be the first thing I would. What?
What would you ask him? What would be your
I don't
question?
know. Give me time to come up with a creative question because I wouldn't want to just ask like, oh, what were you thinking when you fucked those fans up? But I'd come up with a creative question about it. Yeah.
You know what was the best part was Steven Jackson smacking the shit out of somebody. When he just went in there.
Was it him who slid in and
Steven
he slipped
Jackson.
on some water?
Steven Jackson went in there. He like slipped a little bit and then he just
This is
smacked
back on the
somebody
floor,
with
isn't
an
it? Or is
open
this up in the
hand.
stands? This
Huh?
is back
This
on the
was
floor?
in the stands.
Yeah, back on the floor. I think it was either him or Jermaine O'Neal slid into a punch. It was like the best landed.
Jermaine O'Neal punched two fans.
There was fans on the floor.
On the floor.
So but as he was coming to land, he slipped. But he's so tall, he still came in at the perfect height.
Right.
Right in the
Right, totally. All you're doing is punching down at that point. So
the slide helped him.
Okay. Again, I think everyone who watches this show at this point or follows me on Twitter knows that I'm a huge fan of the Dan Le Batard show. And Stu Gatz in his game notes today said one really true thing and one hilarious thing. I'll tell you the second first. The second was during his game notes, he was like, Jim Harbaugh, collision course, Michigan, who knows? Adam Gase's cocaine eyes. Like that was it. Really true. The second was in his game notes, he's like, could you imagine if Baker Mayfield was a black quarterback? What could you imagine the press would say about everything he did yesterday and he's getting off? And I'm thinking like, yeah, that's kind of true. That's totally 100% true. Because like, look at Johnny Manziel and all the shit that he did. And look at Baker Mayfield and all the shit that he did.
And actually,
they're getting
in some
Heismans.
level of fairness for those folks who would talk trash about him and call him, only difference would be the names they call him because we know what the names are and what the meanings behind those names are because you can't say what you would have called him in 1958. But at least they still hate him for the same reasons. At least they don't go, oh, here's a striking young white quarterback who's a trash talk. At least they still hate him, which, by the way, I don't hate the guy. And by the way, this is one of those guys, and we had
Man, we
friends
got like
this.
3 by the ways in there. This
Yeah.
is like the bullet
I
point
keep
to the bullet
interrupting
point to the bullet point.
myself, Everyone had this teammate and also competed against this kind of guy, no matter what race he was. And you loved him if he's on your team because he riles everyone else up.
It's the Joakim Noah effect.
Yeah, and you hate him if you compete against him. And that's fine, that's great. I love that. I like disliking someone.
Draymond Green right now.
It's awesome. I had a friend in college, we played ball. This is pickup ball.
Okay.
And he had to almost get into a fight to play ball at its highest level. He had to be mad at someone.
Is this the story
he
you
would
told me?
start the fights. No, this is my cousin.
Oh, okay.
That was my cousin who's just having fun. No, my roommate and friend from college would start shit with people under the rim.
I don't like that.
nudge them and bump them and start talking trash to them until they get mad enough to say something back to him that annoyed him enough. He's like, okay, now I'm mad, I can play. I was like, this is crazy. But
don't
that's
have
just
to do
him.
that.
That was him.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
He had to. Some guys have to do that.
Bro, it's pickup basketball.
I know it.
It's not that serious.
It isn't. That was my
You're
my
playing
approach.
to 11 in front of nobody. All right?
Absolutely.
You don't got to do it. All right, so Baker Mayfield overall.
Would you want him?
Yeah. You can't get a Heisman winner.
There's a lot of people saying they don't want him or check out his immune. I saw something about his immune.
It depends what you're talking
system.
about. Oh, no, forget about it.
Because these things get picked apart because of other issues.
The NFL or college football is how I have to follow up with your question.
Okay.
So which one is it?
Well, I was going to ask you for both, and since those are the 2 parameters, would you, if you're an OU guy, do you like this?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course. Do you understand what
And if
happened?
the
Bob
Bears-
Stoops left. Now, granted, he completely botched the Joe Mixon case, and he deserved to be fired with that. But then he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna leave. I'm out of here." So like Bob Stoops leaves, who may not be an amazing guy, but he's a legend for OU and the program that he built. Okay, so you have Bob Stoops is a legend. Lincoln Riley comes over. You could not have asked for a better situation for a first-year head coach. So yes, if I'm Lincoln Riley or if I'm any college program, yeah, I take Baker Mayfield. By the way, Texas Tech, you had him, and then you let him go on a transfer. What the fuck are you thinking? Like they have
let him off the hook.
We let him off the hook. We are who we thought they were. Dennis Green. So like, you literally let him off the hook. You had Baker Mayfield, who was really good at Texas Tech. He was a walk-on at Texas Tech.
Absolutely.
And they had him. They haven't been good since Mike Leach and Graham Harrell and Michael Crabtree. That's the last time they were good. And that was years upon years ago. And Mike Leach is like making all these crazy things happen at Wazoo. So to answer your question about Baker Mayfield, college, absolutely. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So NFL, different story.
Yeah.
I would go with Josh Rosen over Baker Mayfield. Sam Darnold, probably. I think I'd take Baker Mayfield over Kyle Allen, though.
Well, because the hard part is with him, I think his downsides are less. It's because of his attitude, his persona, his demeanor,
The only thing
his
that
approach.
scouts are going to say is his size. That's it.
Because that's the thing that's the only thing I would have an issue with. I love his attitude. I love his demeanor. I love that he annoys people. Because there's a lot of people in the NFL that annoy people. We just don't hear about them all the time.
That's not true. Jay Cutler.
What, that he annoys people or that he doesn't?
He's viewed as one of the worst teammates that you could possibly have. And
No,
he's
no. If you
he
annoy-
is an asshole, maybe even more so than Baker Mayfield in a bad way. Baker
That's
Mayfield
worse.
is
Now,
like somewhat innocent.
Now, maybe I've missed some stories, but that's a bad aspect. I don't mean piss off your teammates and be a pariah in the locker room.
Right.
I
You're
just
saying-
mean opponents and the way you look at people. Because all the stories are like, look at how he throat slashed the teammates. Look at how he talked trash to the opponents. I don't give a shit. Those are his opponents. They're not supposed to like him.
You think if he was on Georgia that he wouldn't be doing the same thing to Oklahoma? He would. It's the guy that you ride or die with.
Yeah, so the hard part is 6'1", 220. But 220,
He is
220's
not
good.
6'1".
Yeah, but I'm saying that's the listed height.
He's like 5'11".
And then, so of course, the comparison would be Drew Brees because he's a shorter quarterback.
No, but Drew Brees has a cannon. This guy couldn't throw it downfield.
And then also, the other shorter, Seattle,
Russell Wilson.
Russell. Those are your two shorter quarterbacks with the most recent.
Here's the other thing: Russell Wilson
Success.
not only has the escapability, which I guess Baker kind of has, but he knows how to buy time inside the pocket and then get outside. From what I saw with Baker, he bought time a little bit, but nowhere near the extent. And that's the difference between a professional and a collegiate player.
Maybe his
right
development
there.
isn't over.
Maybe. But Russell Wilson also has a fucking cannon, too.
That too.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
he can
that's
throw
the
it 60
two
yards
aspects.
downfield on a dime to Doug Baldwin.
He's a baseball player.
Would you take him, NFL team?
If my team needed it, sure.
If you had Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen ahead of him, still on the board.
I think Sam.
If you're
Darnold
like the
needs-
Giants.
I think Sam Darnold needs to go back to school. Absolutely. Did you see that game? Number one. Number two, did you see previous games where he wasn't amazing? Now, this again has maybe something to do with the system in place because they also didn't use Sam the way that they could have. Because he has this talent, he's been he's a year and a half of a starter. First of all, we keep forgetting that.
Hey man, Trubisky was a 1-year starter at UNC. And now he's starting for the Bears. About to be year
How are the
two.
Bears doing? So
That's an unfair question, and you
Why?
know it.
Why?
Why? They're not trying to win. They're trying to be bad. They're trying to draft okay.
just saying.
That was a dick comment.
Is he learning? Is he learning by being with a system that wants to lose? No. I'm just saying.
I
don't know.
disagree with that as
But
well.
either way, the way Darnold looks at USC has his flashes, which means he's gonna be a pro. But just get it together first. Just give me. Wait till you have 2 full seasons under your belt. This is a little bit premature, I think. And this is when you end up with potentially destroyed careers to go to a bad team that doesn't know how to develop quarterbacks.
Like
and
the
think he's
Cleveland
gonna
Browns.
Yes. And think that you're going to have a savior. That's the way they played with him at SC, and the savior system didn't work. You got to give him something else. I looked at the way that OU ran their offense in that first half, honestly, mostly the whole game. And I said, if Darnold was in a system where he has this many options and chances to be successful, he would be great instead of good.
But here's the thing with the systems, is that Oklahoma runs this air raid offense, right, under Lincoln Riley. Darnold doesn't necessarily have like an air raid type of playbook because he doesn't have as much mobility as Baker Mayfield.
The man can run.
He can't run as well as Baker Mayfield, man.
No, but he can move enough. He's not a statue quarterback.
So this is bad coaching on behalf of SC and good coaching on behalf of Oklahoma.
A little bit, but
it sounds like.
Mayfield is better. But
yes, completely.
Yeah. Like it's just more expensive. Dude's a senior. He knows, he's played more football. That's all. It's
in two different states.
Yeah.
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 So there's those aspects. It's just you have to a success of a quarterback in a very, very team-oriented sport like football, you have to have the right things around him. First of all, an offensive line.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And
Yeah, which you won't have in the NFL. If he goes to any of those teams. Did you see what the Giants did this year? Did you see what the Browns did this year? Alrighty, let us know your thoughts. Comment section below. Subscribe to 2ID Sports.